Hi, today is March 31st, 2023. Here are my last 5 poems for the month. The first one is poem number 540 for the year, A Nice Moment. Even if, as I assume, Trump will not be found guilty of this particular felony, it is now more likely than it already was that Georgia will indict him, and maybe the federal government too. So I admit that the historical significance of yesterday's indictment had not occurred to me, but clearly it is historic. And this is the first of at least a few. The floodgates are open. It will be nice to see Trump surrender to the New York DA, and it will be nice to see the reporting on the trial. Of course, it won't be nice when they indict Biden for some bullshit, and it won't be nice when they come after Democratic senators and members of the House. It won't be nice when those chickens come home to roost. But right now, this moment is nice. Poem number 541, what else is there? I am at a bit of a loss for any other words about any other thing in this moment, but I guess that's okay. It strikes me as a bit unsatisfying to end this month with 5 poems about the first indictment of a former president, and therefore to end this month's Kindle book of daily poems in that way. But I have asked myself a couple of times this morning, what else is there? And I didn't get an answer. Poem number 542, Above the Law. I guess I will say this, that all of this no one is above the law nonsense I'm seeing in the papers is pretty fucking irritating. Trump has been above the law for decades. It's almost disgusting that the first thing that he gets indicted for after his criminal-ridden presidency and his criminal business practices is this misdemeanor that has been blown up into a felony by a DA who seems to be overreaching here after having looked the other way with regard to the truly felonious tax fraud stuff last year. All of this sanctimony in the press over something so trivial, it's like how they got Nixon for bugging the DNC instead of for bombing Cambodia and lying about it to Congress. Plenty of people are above the law. Rich and powerful people get away with all sorts of shit all the time, and I think Trump will get away with this. I think he will probably be found guilty of something eventually, but he may never go to jail. And even if he does, it won't be real jail. It will be rich people's jail. It will be that above the law kind of jail. Poem number 543, Grant. You may have already heard the story of the speeding ticket that Ulysses S. Grant got while he was president, but in case you haven't, here it is. Grant had been out driving a horse-drawn carriage by himself when Officer William H. West stopped him. Grant apologized, and West let him off with a warning. The next night, according to West, President Grant was at it again, and West arrested him, along with a bunch of other people who were also speeding. Grant paid the $20 fine and went back home to the White House. A trial was held the next day. Grant didn't show up, and that was that for Grant. The other speeders were heavily fined and rebuked by a judge, because apparently they were more not above the law than the president was. And the last poem of the month and of the day is poem number 544, Debs. In June of 1918, when Eugene V. Debs was the same age as I am now, he spoke out against the war in Europe. Despite the heat in Canton, Ohio that day, he wore a tweed jacket and a buttoned vest. That sounds like something I might do. I tend to overdress in the heat. The working class, he said, have never had a voice in declaring war. He also said, if war is right, let it be declared by the people, you who have your lives to lose. 2 weeks later, he was arrested under the Espionage and Sedition Act and was found guilty and imprisoned. In 1920, he ran for president from his cell. It was his 5th run, and he got almost 1 million votes, more than 3% of the vote. Not as good as the time he got 6%, but not bad for a third-party candidate. If Trump doesn't win the Republican nomination, maybe he will run as a third-party candidate. If he does, I think he'd do a lot better than Debs. DeSantis may have to walk a thin line to prevent that from happening. I'm not trying to get anyone's hopes up, but I am hopeful. There are a lot of ways that things could go badly, but there are also some ways in which things could go well. I prefer to believe that it is possible that we will remain free from the scourge of Republican presidents for a very long time. They have done enough damage. Enough is enough. And that's enough from me for this month, this day. Thank you. I appreciate you. Check out the book. It should come out tomorrow. All the March poems. I'm excited. Kind of. Thanks. I appreciate you.